Welcome to Hope's Homemade Kitchen. Today we're making roasted butternut squash soup. It's perfect for fall and winter and a wonderful addition to your Thanksgiving table. Not only is it delicious, it's good for you, packed with vitamins and minerals. We'll be roasting up the vegetables on a sheet pan with a little olive oil and spices, and then transferring it to a stock pot to make the richest, creamiest soup you've ever tasted. Let's get started, and I'll show you the ingredients. The ingredients for the roasted butternut squash soup are 3 to 4 pounds of butternut squash, an apple, nutmeg, garlic, onion, salt and pepper, chicken broth, maple syrup, coconut milk, and butter. We'll also be roasting some pumpkin seeds for garnish. Now the first step, we're going to split these in half, drizzle it with oil, put a little salt and pepper on there, and roast them in a 425-degree oven until they're nice and soft. Now you need to be very careful, have a very stable cutting board. I usually put something underneath to hold it stable and it doesn't move around. And then take a sharp knife and just go down the center lengthwise. And we'll be scraping out those seeds. I find that taking an ice cream scoop works pretty well. This soup has butternut squash, apples, maple syrup, all of these things that remind me so much of fall and the comfort of having some really good soup. Okay, I have a sheet pan that I've lined with foil, sprayed with a cooking spray. I'm going to take some olive oil in my sprayer here. It's just a really easy way. Instead of drizzling it on, I just spray it on. Put a little salt and pepper on. And then we'll put it face down. Now I'm going to put this in a 425-degree oven and roast it for 40 to 50 minutes, just until it's soft, and it's okay if it browns the skin because that just adds more flavor to the center. So while the butternut squash is cooking, I'm going to peel one apple and we'll just dice that and cook it with the soup. Now this is totally optional. You can certainly leave it out if you want. I just think it adds a nice sweetness and freshness. I'm also going to dice up one onion, and a small onion will do. You can also use a shallot if you would rather use shallots. Now we'll be cooking this on the stove top in a Dutch oven, and then when the butternut squash is done, we will add it to the soup, and we'll be using an immersion blender to smooth it out. Okay, so we've got the apple, the onion. We also want 4 cloves of garlic. Just going to add the pressed garlic in there. This is a really good savory soup, and it has the natural sweetness of the butternut squash and the apple and warm spices like nutmeg. While the butternut squash is roasting, I added about a tablespoon of olive oil to my Dutch oven, and I'm turning it on medium-high heat, and I'm adding in the onions, apples, and garlic. And we'll saute those until they're tender. Also want to add in 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay, the onions are pretty soft now. It smells so good with the garlic. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit and let it continue to cook until the apples are fully soft. Okay, while the butternut squash continues to cook in the oven and the onion and the apples are softening, we're going to toast up some pumpkin seeds to use as garnish for our soup. So I have about a half a cup of pumpkin seeds, and I'm just going to add about a couple of teaspoons of olive oil. Now these seeds are already salted, so I don't need to do that. You could toast these a couple of different ways. You could do it in the oven, and I'm just going to do it on the stove top because it's so easy. So I have it on about medium-high heat. I just want to toast them till they get a little bit brown. It's such a wonderful addition to the butternut squash soup. Okay, it doesn't take very long at all. You'll see that some of them have already browned up. I'm going to turn off the heat and put them on a paper towel to drain. Those will be delicious. Okay, the butternut squash is done. It's cooked for 40 minutes at 425. So we'll let that cool off a little bit, and then we'll scoop it out into our Dutch oven. The butternut squash has cooled off enough to peel, and then we'll just dice it up and put it in the Dutch oven to cook. Just making sure there's no skin on those pieces. Peeling it this way is much easier than peeling it when it's raw. So that's the way I usually like to do it, is cook it first and then peel it. I'm just going through and making sure all of the skin is off of it. Then we'll take that and put it in our stock pot. Okay, now we've turned the heat back on. I'm going to add our butternut squash. Be adding 4 cups of chicken broth. I'm going to add some black pepper. I want about 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup. Couple tablespoons of butter. I'm going to add some fresh nutmeg. A little bit will do you on the nutmeg, so I'm going to put in about 1/8 of a teaspoon, I think. And we can adjust later if it needs more. We want this to simmer for about 20 minutes, let the flavors come together, and then we'll use our immersion blender to blend it up, and then add our coconut milk and warm it and blend it, and it'll be ready to serve. Okay, while it's simmering, I'm going to go ahead and add in our coconut milk. That's 1 13.5 ounce can of unsweetened coconut milk. Okay, this has been cooking for about 15 minutes, and now we're going to use our immersion blender. It looks very smooth. You can also use a regular blender for this if you don't have an immersion blender. That would just involve, pouring it into a blender, being very careful. You may have to do it in batches depending on the size of your blender. Isn't that a beautiful color? Okay, I'm going to taste this to see if it needs any seasonings. I think that is good. We'll dish it up and do the taste test. Now for the taste test of the roasted butternut squash soup with toasted pepitas or pumpkin seeds. That's so creamy, and we didn't even put any cream in it. We put coconut milk in it. And the creaminess of the butternut squash, it's wonderful. Those toasted pumpkin seeds on top really add a nice crunch. This is a wonderful soup for fall. I can just taste a hint of that nutmeg, and that's really all you need. It doesn't take much nutmeg. And then the sweetness of the butternut squash is sweet on its own, but then when you add in a little bit of maple syrup, so good. And the apple, it just adds a bit of freshness to the whole soup. These are wonderful fall flavors, but honestly, it's great any time of year. So good. Thank you so much for joining me here again on Hope's Homemade Kitchen as we made roasted butternut squash soup. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to my channel, share it with your friends, and comment down below. What is your favorite fall or winter soup? We'll see you next time.